appreciate that you took some time out of your busy schedule to attend Tanya's presentation. My name is Sally Cole, and I work with the Federation of PEI Municipalities. I'm the Member and Services and Communications Officer. This is my first opportunity to host a webinar, and I'm just so happy to be here. I'd like to welcome our guest speaker, Tanya Malawi. She's the Provincial Emergency Management Coordinator from the PEI Emergency Measures Organization. And she's, as you can see, she set a seasonal scene for us, a seasonal tone. All we need is some virtual eggnog. I'm looking at her Christmas tree behind me. So without further ado, I'll let Tanya speak. If you could hold on to your questions and put them in the chat function, and we'll deal with them at the end of the program. As well, if you could mute your microphones, that would be great too. So welcome, Tanya.
Thanks very much, Sally, and I guess thanks to everybody. I'll note that I can't, just the view that I have of my screen to be able to share it with you, I can't see who's on the call. So if there's anybody I know, hello. I guess I want to add one point is I think that there was a list of registrations shared with me. I live in the, I guess, the rural municipality of the newly formed West River. So if those folks were able to join, hello, and I'm just in Long Creek area and just around the corner from you. So today, I guess I just want to start talking off today with in regards to give you a brief outline to help demystify the process to develop a comprehensive emergency management program. Some people may have already seen this presentation. This is certainly a condensed version for you, but we thought it was really an opportunity for us to take a look at it and give a bit of a refresher to folks as we turn into the new year. To begin with, it's really helpful, I think, for you folks to understand what we refer to as the 4 levels of responsibility for emergency management. So that's the screen that you'll see there now. These are the same all across the country and actually probably around the world, anyone in the concept of in the job of emergency management. The rationale here is that the goal is to keep the management of an emergency response at the lowest possible level. This is purely for efficiency and effectiveness. So first off, as you see in the bottom, what it all starts with is the individual. So those are yourself, your family members, but it also includes businesses, hospitals, facilities, that type of thing. What we ask those people is to be prepared. We often talk about that 72 hours of preparedness. So be prepared to be able to manage an emergency response within your home. So if you had a flood or something in your home, that's what we're kind of asking people to do. When individuals need assistance, they should reach up to their municipality. So that would be reaching those to you. And those would be in scenarios where the incident or whatever it is unmanageable for them. For those people that live in an unincorporated area, the support would basically come directly from the province. I'm navigating through my clicking here. Municipalities are then are now responsible for providing assistance or support to individuals in their area if and when it is required. So it's a decision that you folks will make. When municipalities need support, you would reach into us at the PEI EMO for any provincial resources. And then lastly, for the province here, if there's anything that the province or municipalities need, we are the conduit to make requests to the federal government. So we're all familiar with the Municipal Government Act and the changes that has required municipalities to do for planning. You'll also be aware that just recently there's been an update, an extension given to municipalities due to the ongoing pandemic. There was several different extensions, but one of those specific ones was regards to the Municipal Emergency Management Program that was due for the end of 2020, has now been extended by the additional year. Again, oops, sorry, I'm going to go back there for a second. What might be interesting for folks on the call is that you may not be aware, but PEI is the last province in Canada to have these requirements mandated to have municipalities have an emergency management program. Many have already started that process regardless, so this isn't something completely difficult or new for some people. So just a little bit about your roles and responsibilities as we specifically talk about emergency management. One of the key ones that we talk about is around analyzing risks and hazards within your municipality. This is a task that PEI EMO can help you with, and we'll talk about that when we get into the 10 steps within the next slides. Direct and coordinate or support all emergency operations within the municipality. I've found over the years that a lot of times when municipalities, there's some confusion that when they hear that we activate or we have declared a provincial state of emergency, there's some confusion about whether or not we would start to direct municipal resources, but I'm here to tell you that wouldn't be the case. You are the owner of those resources and the owner responsible for those your jurisdiction, so that responsibility still lands with you. Request assistance from other municipalities or develop memorandums of understanding or MOUs, and as well as request assistance from the province is a responsibility that would fall to the council. One of the key things that we really hope that you folks understand for us now, certainly with after Dorian and as we ramped up toward an anticipation of Teddy arrival, Hurricane Teddy back in September, it's about communicating back to us. We really want to be sure that you folks are sharing information with us about any emergency management activity within your municipality, specifically if you are opening up your municipal emergency operations center or a reception center, if you've declared a state of local emergency, or any request for assistance. Communication is really key in this point, so we need your help to see the bigger picture. And I'll just stop there for a second and say that is what one of our key roles in EMO, I consider us to be, we're the artists painting the provincial picture of impact. We can't see it all, so we reach to you folks in the municipalities and where you know your residents and you know what the issues are, and share that back with us so that we can paint it, and that certainly helps us direct where we need to put our resources and make decisions better if we understand what the impacts are. So there's several tools available to you folks, but one of the key ones for awareness is we have developed an municipal emergency management guide. It's a comprehensive guide that covers an invaluable amount of information on items like key position responsibilities, various templates, forms, and checklists, as well as the specific 10 steps outlined to develop your plan. We have printed copies available in our office. You could reach to us and you'll have our contact information at the end of this presentation. But you can also download a digital copy off of our website at, if you just Googled municipal emergency management in our website, you'll be able to get that. So let's actually get into the 10 steps in detail. I have a slide for each one, but again, this is probably familiar to a few folks. The 10 steps are laid out here. The good news I can offer you is that not all of these steps are required to complete your program. These are simply suggested as a best practice, and some of them, I should say, are suggested as a best practice and may be determined based on the size of your municipality. The steps are laid out in logical order. However, you're not required to finish one before moving on to the next. You can also work on more than one at a time. And I give you the example of while you wait for your bylaw to be approved, if you haven't already got one, so that's step one, you could actually start identifying and developing your municipal emergency operations center team, which is step 4. We do it just in a logical order, so it's a little easier to kind of check off one piece as you go through the process. Obviously, municipalities across the province are in all different steps or different phases of these steps. We actually keep a database so that we can track your progress. So we know, who has the bylaws, who's got this done, and all these steps. So we break it down in those 10 steps for our tracking purposes as well. So step one. So this begins with the passing of your bylaw. A template can be found in the Municipal Emergency Management Guide, or you can access it from the provincial government website as well by searching the bylaws. I believe the Municipal Affairs webpage maintain copies of all these templates for your use. The first question to ask yourself is, do you already have one? Many of the municipalities already do have a municipal emergency management bylaw in place. And it should be noted that we've updated that template in the last couple of years, or I guess since the new MGA came into effect. So if you created your bylaw prior to the new MGA, what we're told by Municipal Affairs is that you don't need to redo your bylaw, but if there was opportunity to refresh it, you certainly could do that. But if you have one in place, then you already have your first check mark and you can basically move on to step two. If you haven't completed this step, it's important to know that it's a critical first step to complete, because developing and passing your bylaw basically lays the foundation and the legal ability for a program to be able to establish a program to deal with emergencies. The template defines important topics such as membership, or the makeup of your emergency committee, duties, responsibilities, the powers of council, funding arrangements, delegation of authority, a host of different items. Again, many people would be familiar with the bylaw structures. And like any bylaw, there is a process. PEI, EMO, and Municipal Affairs are happy to assist. I would probably lean more to Municipal Affairs. They're the experts as it relates to bylaws, but certainly we can probably direct some of those questions if there was a requirement. So step two is appointing an emergency management standing committee. So this step is one of those not required ones, but it is considered a best practice, and it would be recommended certainly if you were in a larger municipality where you had the additional human resources to be able to do this. An emergency management standing committee typically consists of 1 or 2 members of your council, and they basically are the primary point of contact between council and the municipal emergency management coordinator. The main responsibility of this committee is really just accountability, making sure that the emergency management plan is done. So step 3 is appointing a municipal emergency management coordinator. So this is a required step, and if you have the resources, it is also recommended to appoint a deputy coordinator as well as a planning committee as well. Not all 3 are required. Certainly smaller municipalities are less likely to have a planning committee. So it really just depends on your resources, what you have available. The municipal emergency management coordinator could be someone from council, or a municipal staff person, or even someone within your community with previous emergency management experience. You could have a retired police officer, firefighter, or anybody that just has the interest and the skill sets to be able to do this work. They could be the perfect fit. So I would say don't discount that ability to find the resource in your community. Whoever you select to do this has a great deal of responsibility. So I guess I would suggest is to be very thoughtful and mindful in regard to who you're going to select. It is important to note that whoever you designate as the municipal emergency management coordinator has written delegated authority from the council to perform their duties. And that template is also included into your municipal guide. Their role includes, but are not limited to, they're first off responsible to develop the overall plan. They would chair the planning committee if one's appointed. They coordinate all the training, the exercise, working with EMO. During emergency operation activation of our space, we reach out to the municipal emergency management coordinators, so they're also a key point of contact for us. And then if you activated your emergency operations center at any point, they would be the manager for that municipal emergency EOC, I should say. It's a lot of words when I say municipal emergency management coordinator. I might shorten it as we go through here. So the planning committee. So if there was a decision to create one, these people are responsible for assisting in the preparation of the plan. So they would support that emergency management coordinator. Perhaps it's just making connections with neighboring jurisdictions and developing MOUs with different agencies. So they have a variety of tasks, but again, it's really dependent on what you feel is appropriate based on the resources that you have. These individuals will typically take up a role within the EOC team as well. So these could be members also from council, that they could be just members of the community. It's really up to you to feel what is the most appropriate. And then again, if you're engaging people from community as volunteers, it would be appropriate to have some of those delegations of authority so that it was really clear of what they were allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. What we've heard is that municipalities often feel that this part is finding the right people for the positions to be one of the most challenging steps. So if I could say that the 10 steps may seem daunting, but this might be your biggest challenge, is finding the right people to fill the role. So step 4 is the Emergency Operations Center team positions. So basically your EOC should be a pre-designated facility or location, which is basically where all the team members are going to go and meet and basically coordinate the overall response and provide support to an emergency event. It does not have to be a big space. It's often a community facility, but it also could be someone's basement. It's basically less about the place, more about the people. You want to make sure the people have the right skill sets, they understand their roles really well. That will give you more success than worrying about having a big space that meets all the needs. Like we said with the coordinator position, it's important to select the right people for these positions, as these team members will have the authority to make decisions and commit resources from their respected areas. They should be prepared to work as a team with other members and participate in training and exercises. And like other positions in larger municipality, team members may be staff or paid employees, but in smaller ones, they might be a mixture of council and volunteers. Here's just an example of what we would call our organizational chart if we were activating an emergency operations center. So this is an example of what we would call the command structure for a municipal emergency operations center. The chart shows various positions that could be filled and should have quotes around that word. What's important to note here is that not all these positions are actually needed for every single event, especially in smaller municipalities. But even at our operations center, if we were activated, sometimes it could start with 2 people and then, progress up to having 10, 15, up to 30. So it really depends on the event. If I were to give an example of if you were activating to support residents that maybe had experienced tropical storm or any type of bad weather event and scattered power outages, you may choose to activate your EOC, but you only need to fill the positions of the EOC manager, maybe the information officer, because they're the key point to reach to your residents and to public. And then operations, if maybe you open up a reception center, that would be the responsibility that would fall underneath operations section. Step 5 is a hazard risk assessment, or HRA is what we call them for shorter term. This is an optional task, but I will suggest to you it's quite beneficial, and it can be done anywhere through the process. The results, what we found from conducting a hazard risk assessment, will help you as council understand better the risks that are within your municipality, and it would then allow you to better target what you need your plans to look like. For example, obviously if you're along the coast, you're going to be more susceptible to storm surge damages. So that was going to dictate some of the planning that you might need to do. Whereas if you were not along the coast, then obviously that's something that you won't have to consider. Beauty about this one is we do it with you. So you're not responsible to figure out how to do this on your own. We basically just need about 3 hours of your time with a few of your other council members and some key people within your community, and we could provide that document for you. Obviously, because of COVID, we can do this virtually. It can be done through a conference call or a Zoom kind of environment like we're doing today. Resource inventory. This step is probably will take the longest, I guess. It seems like a mountain of work to complete, but it's really important for the entire EOC team. So you want to make sure that that step 4 of defining who these people is done before you start this process. Because basically what we suggest is that each EOC team position should create their own list of resources so they know what they need to do. Then you want them to go find the resources and be able to be sure that they can reach to them if they need to access them. That coordinator position should guide and assist in this process and give deadlines to any of those individuals that need to, so that everything is just not kind of scattered around, and it shares a bit of the workload as well. Resources could be anything from a specialized piece of equipment, a generator, or something as simple as the contact information for an individual within your municipality with a specialized training or piece of equipment. You may want to know who have all the snowmobiles in your municipality, or who owns a backhoe. Those might be the simple listing that you need to have. Again, that Municipal Emergency Management Program Guide has some sample resource lists for your reference to kind of guide you on your way. Step number 7 is completing it. Now you just want to put it all together. We do have a template on our website for a municipal emergency management plan. So basically the big chunk of it is the guidance or the governance around that. It should stay the same. The only reason that you would ever need to change that portion of the document is if your structure of your municipality changed. The big bulk of the work is in the resources, the resource lists. I will even say that provincially, we have a provincial all hazards plan, and then we have a resource binder. So my provincial all hazards plan basically outlines who has authority to do what, who can activate our EOC, what's my level of authority from a financial approval, and the chain of command and information. But we never look at that when we activate. We open our resource binder. We find that's what our job is, to connect people and dots together. So that's going to be where the bulk of your plan is going to be. What you should do, and I know some people are already doing this, but you should draft up your plan. You may want to present it to council just for review and input to make sure that you're on the right path, but we don't ask council to approve it until you send it in to us. As part of that MDA requirement, it requires us to review and approve these plans. So what we suggest is send it to us first. We'll provide that feedback document. Then you can make edits and then present it to council for their final approval. And then make sure again that you send a copy of that final document to us as well. This ensures that all your suggestions and edits can be completed before getting approval, and you don't have to do it twice. Step 8 is on training and education. So now the bulk of your work is done. Now it's all about making sure that the people that you've selected to respond to an emergency are well trained, and then they understand what their role. And well, also that members in the municipality understand how they can contribute to a municipal emergency response. So it's really important that everyone involved in your plan is committed to training and education. So PEI EMO, we offer a variety of courses that will assist individuals or yourself with emergency management. Certainly noting COVID has really kind of thrown everything off the rails when it comes to training. We haven't delivered anything since March, but we are working now on creating these virtual training courses, again, in a similar type of format here. One of the new things that we're just on the final details is creating a professional development series for municipalities. So we have approximately 30 different topics that we're going to create short little 5 to 30-minute videos. And that then municipalities and your staff and volunteers could basically click on those links at your own convenience, and it will really just help build your own capacity and your skill sets as well. More to come on that. I'm hoping early January I'll be able to provide some better detail around that. So step 9 is around exercising. So now that you've developed a plan, it's really critical that we exercise our plans to be sure that what we say we're going to do and what we've written down on paper actually works. That's generally where we find that we need to, oh, we forgot to add this piece, or we didn't consider this item. So it's really important to sit down, and we call them tabletop exercises. Basically, it's a planned or a facilitated discussion. Basically, your EOC team members sit around a table, you pretend there's a disaster happening, and you kind of pretend that you're responding to it. This is something that we can absolutely help with. We have a standard set of exercises that we can walk you through. We'll facilitate them for you, and we'll develop an after action document to help you guide you into how you need to make edits to your plan or just in your process. So the last one here is maintaining the program. So once all the hard work is done, there's still work to be done, but it's certainly on a lesser level. As a requirement of the MGA, plans must be reassessed or at least updated at least once a year. And this might, basically what we're suggesting is that you should just take a look at that resource list that you have, all those EOC team members, and update contact information. So you just want to make sure that someone changed their phone number, get a new cell phone, moved out of the jurisdiction, or maybe there's new people to add. So that is where the content really needs to be updated. And it's also a great opportunity. You can pick and choose, but you should decide when. It should be, pick a time like January or maybe May. What we like about May is that's Emergency Preparedness Week, which is the first full week in May. It's often the time that people do some of this work. Great time to bring your EOC team together, bring council members together, and kind of refresh everyone's role, especially if nothing's been happening. But this past year, I think everything's been happening. So people are pretty comfortable with some of their roles and responsibilities. So basically, those are the 10 steps. Because it's 10, I don't want people to feel overwhelmed by that. And I think for a majority of folks, you may already have some of these check boxes already. And remember again that our office staff, we do basically steps 5, 8, and 9. So conducting a hazard risk assessment, doing the training and education, and exercising the plan in partnership with your municipality. So, and we'll lead you through the rest of those steps and guide you through them as required. So that's basically all I have. This is our contact information, and I'll say as well as all our staff are currently working from home. When we deactivated our Provincial Operations Center, as we no longer needed to support provincial government departments back in September, we pushed all our staff home with the idea that we wanted to ensure and to protect our staff so that if there was ever a need that we needed to activate again, that we all could come back together. So, but we can be reached through our email, through our webpage, our phones. They'll just forward off an email to us and we'll follow up with you. Or if you know the emails of us individually, feel free to reach to us that way as well. So that's all I have. I'm going to hand it over to Sally. Again, I don't